Okay, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the first video of 2023. Uh, Here are all the shows I watched, and I'm going to be ranking them from S, the best, A, pretty good show, B, mid show, you know, perfectly fine, C, it was okay, and F, the worst show I've seen all year. There are tons of different shows here that, you know, you wouldn't exactly uh, no, because I haven't done reviews on them. Potentially, some of them are popular. The ones I have done reviews on are Adventure Time, Arcane, Ash vs Evil Dead, uh, Cuphead Show, CW The Flash, but I have not done the new seasons of these two, as well as Rick and Morty down here. I also did Cyberpunk Edgerunners, Hitmonkey, The Witcher, The Office, Stranger Things, and Tower of God. But there are other shows here like The Walking Dead, Wednesday, Umbrella Academy, The Boys, Tales of Jedi, Solar Opposites, She-Hulk, Peacemaker, Obi-Wan, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, Lock and Key, Family Guy, Cobra Kai, Book of Boba Fett, Chainsaw Man, Better Call Saul, and Andor that I didn't do reviews on. But that is perfectly fine because we'll be ranking them today, and some of the older shows that I've done, Rick and Morty, Cuphead Show, and CW The Flash, have had new seasons. So, let us get into it. By the way, this is the third take, so if I'm sounding a little less enthusiastic, it is because this is the third try, because the first time I messed up and had a lot of stuttering, and the second time I forgot to put in The Walking Dead. So, here we are. Let's rank it from top to bottom here. Adventure Time. Adventure Time was a great show. I think I gave it like a 9 point something out of 10, and I think it deserves that. I think it's an S tier, and you're going to see that I like a lot of these shows. Maybe not all of them are getting S tier, though. You'll see. Adventure Time was a great show. It brought me back to, childhood. I used to watch a lot of Adventure Time when I was younger. Adventure Time was a great show. It was just perfect, and it's exactly what I remembered. It's goofy, it's fun, it's got lore, it's got tons of cool things, and I love all the millions of characters that they have. They're all interesting in their own way, and yeah, it's pretty good. Really good show. Not my top on S, though, I will say. It'll probably be low S. Cassian Andor was the best Star Wars show that has so far come out, other than The Mandalorian, I would say. Andor was really good. I'm going to give it a high A tier because I don't think it's on the same level as the 9s. I think it is an 8.9 out of 10. Very close to 9, though, so it's a high A. Andor was great. I didn't do a review on it, but I really wanted to, but it just slipped my mind. Andor was a great show. Some people found it slow, but I found it like the right pace for everything. It was really good. And I liked how it focused on a more dark side of the Star Wars universe, which The Mandalorian also did. You'll see for the other Star Wars shows what I feel about those ones later. Arcane is high S tier. This show was so good. I think I gave it a 9.8 out of 10. That show was phenomenal. It is one of my favorite shows that I watched. I technically didn't watch it this year. I watched it right before this year started. But I'm going to let it slide because I didn't do one for last year, and it's fine. I think I watched it relatively at the same time as Hitmonkey 2, though. So it might have been near January. I don't exactly remember. But yeah, one of my favorite shows of this year. But this next one might just be my top choice. Ash vs. Evil Dead might be my favorite TV show of the entire year. This show was phenomenal. 9.9 out of 10. Overall, great show. No 10 out of 10s here, because there are always things that you can do better. But still, in my mind, that show is phenomenal. It's funny, it's got jokes, it's got violence, it's got action, it's got so many things. Bruce Campbell did a phenomenal job, and I hope the animated series that they might do is just as good, and I hope Evil Dead Rise is good too, because if I do a movie tier list, you'll see the Evil Dead ones there too. Either way, moving on to Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul, easy S tier again. I personally liked Arcane and Ash vs. Evil Dead more. It's a bit controversial. I still think it's like a 9.7 out of 10, which is literally a point below. Even 7.75. I think it was a phenomenal show, and you know, I watched all the seasons, not all of them this year. I watched season 5 this year, and it was great. Great ending to the Breaking Bad franchise, and yeah, I really liked that show. But Arcane and Ash vs. Evil Dead, I liked a bit more. That's fine, you know. Okay, starting off with our first bad show, Book of Boba Fett does not deserve F. It was definitely nowhere near close the worst show that I saw this year. It was not a really good one, though, and I would put a D tier, but I think we don't have a lot of shows. It's going to be a low C, though. This show wasn't the greatest. It was slow. I liked the quietness of the flashbacks. A lot of people didn't, but it was a slow show, and they shoehorned in 2 episodes of The Mandalorian just because. And not only that, those were the best episodes. So they kind of got screwed over by themselves. Chainsaw Man, our second A tier. This was not my favorite show of the year. It's not close. Sorry. I've been skipping over. I skipped over Book of Boba Fett's review. I give it a 6.2 out of 10. Yeah. Chainsaw Man is definitely not my favorite show. I give it a 8.6 out of 10. It is a pretty good show. I loved the manga. I am currently still reading the manga, and I like the show too, but it doesn't get to the same level. People call it a relatable story, but I don't find it relatable, but it's really fun. It's got violence, it's got action, it's got fun stuff. It's a good show. I think Penguin Zero quite enjoyed it too. Again, not a 9 though. 9 is my S tier. 9s and 10s S tier. A is 8s. B is 7. C is 5s and is 6 and 5s, and F is 5s and below. So yeah. Either way, let's continue on. Cobra Kai, another case of a show that I absolutely loved. It's goofy. It's got action. It's just great. It's not a show for everybody, though, and it really gets repetitive, but it's still not that bad of a show. I give it a solid 8, which would put it low A tier. The Cuphead show is going to be our first high C. Cuphead show was definitely not my favorite show. Oh, wait. Yeah, I did give Cobra Kai a review. Okay, just making sure. Cuphead show was definitely not my cup of tea. Haha, get it? Because Cuphead? Haha. Either way, it was not my cup of tea. It really was slow. It's nothing like the game. It's a fun adaptation for sure, but like it doesn't remind me of what Cuphead would be. I don't know. I found it quite boring, and it was quite slow. It's definitely better than Book of Boba Fett, but most things are. Cuphead show was okay, and I would give it a 6.8 out of 10. Moving on to one of my least favorite shows of the year, CW's The Flash. This show is so boring that I struggle to get through this final season. It is awful. It is so bad. Like, it started off okay, like, it's okay, I guess, but it's so infuriating how he stops to talk, and it's so infuriating how dumb the Flash is. It's not a good show. The CGI was never really its strong suit, but now it's just them running in front of a green screen, and it's painful. This show is bad. At least the costume is comic accurate, and that's all I can give to it. It is a bad show. My first F tier with a solid 2 out of 10. Moving on to another banger, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, which I find, again, better than Better Call Saul. It's just because Better Call Saul is definitely a lot slower of a show, while the first three are a lot faster shows. As I think all three of these shows have 10 to 8 episodes. Ash vs. Evil Dead has 3 seasons, 10 episodes. Arcane has 1 season, 10 episodes. And I think Edgerunners might also have 10 episodes, but it might be 8. I might be wrong here, though. I don't know. But Edgerunners was a great show. It's very fast-paced. It is awesome. I loved the show so much. The characters were great. The setting was great. I like the setting in both Arcane and Edgerunners, but for Game Awards, I voted for Arcane just because I prefer this. I just like seeing steampunk esque settings. Not a lot of things actually do steampunk settings, and it's really cool to see that. Either way, Edgerunners was a great show. I'm gonna give it a, again, 9.8. But I'd say Arcane is a bit higher. I'm sorry. Arcane's just a bit better. Not by a lot, they're relatively even. Okay, time for Family Guy. Family Guy had a lot of seasons. And I mean, so far, out of all the shows I've placed here, this has the most seasons. I think this one has 11, and The Flash right now is on 9, I think. But Family Guy was a perfectly mid show. I loved the jokes, but, you know, it's very long, and some of the episodes are more boring than the others, but that's not saying it's a bad show. I give it a solid 7.5 out of 10, putting it right in the middle. Not of, like, the review, but, like, right in the middle of 7. Either way, let's get to our next B-ranked show, Hitmonkey, which I find a little worse. 7.4. It was a great show. It had funny stuff, it had action, and it was a lot more fast-paced than Family Guy. But just such little content and a lot less to do. Hitmonkey just falls a little short from Family Guy, but it's still not a bad show. It was great, it was funny, and, you know, all of these shows at B and above are shows that you should actually watch, you know. Okay, moving on to Lock and Key. This show was pretty bad. The first season, I remember watching this with my family, was pretty good. The second season was pretty meh. And this newest season, Season 3, was awful. It goes really close to Book of Boba Fett here. I think I gave Book of Boba Fett a 6.2 or a 6.1. I'm going to give this one a 6.3. This show was not that great, and I don't really have a lot to say because it was just boring. At first it was okay, and then now it's just goofy, it's just weird, it's not right. And they shoehorned in a lot of cursing just to appeal to older audiences, but it didn't. Because in the end it just made the main young character sound like a jerk. Either way, let's move on to Moon Knight. This was my favorite of the Marvel shows. I don't think Chainsaw Man... I think it beats Chainsaw Man, but does not beat Andor. Moon Knight was great. I loved it. The story behind Moon Knight is a fantastic one. I haven't read too much comics with him, but he's a really cool character. I really like Moon Knight. And I'm excited for a second season, or for him to show up in something else, because I really liked Moon Knight. I give Moon Knight these ones are the 8s, and I gave Andor an 8.9. I gave this one a 8.8 out of 10. Moving on to our, this is our second Marvel show, or third, actually, because Hitmonkey. And this one was also a C tier. I think it was better than Lock and Key's newest season, though. It was not the greatest of shows. But it wasn't awful. I didn't dislike it too badly. I still think, like, 6.5, which is the middle. It wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. CW The Flash! And don't worry, there is going to be some other shows that might show up there. Just you wait. Obi-Wan Kenobi is also going to be there. I think it was better than Ms. Marvel, though. Actually, worse than Miss Marvel. The chase scenes with Leia were dumb, and essentially the plot could have been solved in 2 seconds, but, uh, you know, why not? Obi-Wan was definitely a 6.4 out of 10, and I think is that what I gave to Lock and Key? I might have. I don't remember. It's better than Lock and Key and Book of Boba Fett, though, but it wasn't a great show. I'm a big fan of Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's my favorite Star Wars character, and I was disappointed. There was a nice fight between Darth Vader, but it wasn't done right, and they didn't de-age Hayden Christensen for that one part where he's supposed to be teen Anakin. It doesn't make sense at all. Either way, our next A-tier show, Peacemaker. Peacemaker was great. It's hilarious, it's got action, and I'm saying this about a lot of shows because I like hilarious and action-packed shows. It was pretty funny. I really liked this show, and I heard James Gunn is starting to make a season 2, and I'm really excited for that. John Cena did a phenomenal job. Great job, all around. Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is going to be our next A tier. Rick and Morty was definitely better than Cobra Kai, but not better than Chainsaw Man. It was a pretty good... Oh, wait, I forgot to rank Peacemaker. 8.6. Not an 8.7 to even it out. Rick and Morty was pretty good. I'd give it an 8. That was an 8. I don't remember what I gave Chainsaw Man. I'll give it an 8.2. It definitely got better over the season. I like how it's become a lot more focused on Rick trying to find that new Rick in the new seasons, and it's nice to actually get some of that story, and I'm actually excited to see the new seasons coming forward. Okay, our next Marvel show, and our final one, She-Hulk, which is the absolute worst show I have watched this entire year. This show was awful. I can't even tell you why I find it so dumb. The CGI wasn't great. It's not even a lot better than the Flash's. Its story was awful. There was nothing that I was interested in. Daredevil was definitely the best part, but CW The Flash has a good part too. It's called Harry from season 2, okay? Either way, Daredevil was the best part, and they still almost butchered him. I kind of liked that one joke, but he still wasn't done right, okay? She-Hulk is the absolute worst show that I have seen, and I could just explain it as it was a boring show where its plot was just a plot because it could be. They decided to shoehorn in cameos such as Wong and Hulk. The first episode, the Hulk is not shoehorned in, but at the end credit scene, or the end scene in the last episode, he was shoehorned in. Wong was shoehorned in, despite they were like, oh no, we didn't shoehorn him in. Daredevil was shoehorned in. Like, this show was crap. And all they tried to do was like, yeah, Daredevil's in the show. That was essentially their entire marketing, because they had no faith in She-Hulk. The fourth wall breaking was the worst fourth wall breaking I've ever seen. I like Daredevil. Or, no, not Daredevil. Deadpool. But he did not jump out of the movie screen into the Disney Plus page and then go to the execs at Marvel and say that this story sucks. Because it did, but then she just made it even worse because she just cut past all the stuff to just make it a cut instead of something that could have actually been cool. It probably wouldn't have been cool, but you still skipped past that stuff and said, yeah, that's a better ending. Garbage. Absolute garbage. Okay, B. Oh wait, what do I rank it? 0 out of 10. That's what you get, She-Hulk. But actually, I'm going to give you a 0.5 just so it's better. Sounds a bit better. 0.5 out of 10. Daredevil carried the show, and you almost ruined him. Oh, where did I just put Solar Opposites? Oh, I just moved it backwards. Okay, Solar Opposites goes here right in front of Family Guy. Solar Opposites, it was pretty good. I really liked it. Decent show. Yeah, Justin Roiland really made my year a lot funnier. Rick and Morty was great. Solar Opposites was pretty good. And High on Life, great game so far. Either way, let's move into Stranger Things, which is my next A tier. This one goes up there, but not above Peacemaker, above Peacemaker with the 0.7, 8.7. This show was great. I've been loving Stranger Things since the start, and people are apparently saying that the story has nowhere to go, and they've blocked themselves off, but that's not true. Something big is about to happen, and war. It's like, how is that blocked off? The story's about to continue, and they said season 5's their final season, so yeah, I mean, I guess if you can say it's blocked off because they're gonna have to end the show, but that's what they were doing because season 5's the last season. Okay. Okay. Either way. Let's move on. Tales of Jedi was mid. It was okay. I'd give it a solid 7. It had some potential, and they didn't really do anything with that potential. They showed a bit of Count Dooku, and that was pretty cool. They showed Yaddle, and that was pretty cool. They showed Ahsoka, and that was pretty cool. And that was essentially the entire show. The Office. This show was great. S tier. This show was amazing. I know how much people liked this show, and I'm so happy to say that I have watched it, and it was phenomenal. This show was great. I loved it so much. There's jokes, and the jokes are phenomenal. It starts off a bit slow, though, and that's why it is not top of S or above Better Call Saul. I'd say it is I gave Adventure Time a 9.2. This one's a 9.3. The Boys. Another one. This show was better than The Office, but not better than Better Call Saul. This show was great as well. I loved The Boys. And, you know, it's very violent, though, and it's like a perfect representation of people getting superpowers that shouldn't be getting superpowers. People that aren't pure that are getting superpowers, essentially. And it shows, you know, the human points of view, like the normal people point of view, and the super soup's point of views, and it's a great show overall. The Witcher. The Witcher I found better than The Boys, better than The Office, better than Adventure Time, not better than Better Call Saul, though. The Witcher is also a great show. I love The Witcher. Great story. Love most of the characters there. And I didn't give The Boys, I'm going to say a 0.5, 9.5, 9.6. No, 9.6 was up here, wasn't it? Or no, 6 was there. No, 9.6. 9.7, 9.8, and 9.9. Okay, yeah. There we go. 9.6. And this is 9.5, 4, and 2. These shows were really good. I loved The Witcher so much. It made me want to play the games, and I haven't really gotten time to play more of it. I played it once for the review, and yeah. We'll see what happens. Okay. And by the way, if my opinions have changed on the shows, it's probably just because, you know, opinions change over time. Either way, Tower of God was a solid A below Family Guy. Or B, sorry, below Family Guy. It was pretty good. I liked it a decent amount. It was a nice, fun show. You know, I heard a lot of people didn't like it, but I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great either. B, you know, a 7.4. Yeah, 7.4 and behind Hitmonkey. Okay, this is our next A tier show. Umbrella Academy. I loved this show. It is super funny, it is action-packed, and my favorite character is Five. The show is awesome. It is another representation of superpowers in the wrong hands. These guys are not mature at all, and they're kind of morons. And it's great. It's funny, it's It's got time travel. It's just wacky, and it's great. I love wacky shows sometimes. Either way, Wednesday is our next A tier. Being, I liked it a decent... Oh, wait. I'm not going to rank these last two because I don't know where they are in numbers anymore. It's fine. You guys can probably assume what the numbers are, though, so it's fine. Wednesday, I found pretty good. It's a nice detective show, and it was a nice breath of fresh air from all the comedies I've been watching. It was still funny, though. But I watched a lot of comedies. Essentially, this was the palate cleanser after I finished Family Guy. Yeah, it took me a while to finish Family Guy. And Solar Opposites, and Rick and Morty. All three of those shows back to back were the shows I watched. And The Office, too. Those were the shows I watched back to back. And then it was Wednesday, so all comedies. So it was a nice palate cleanser. It was a good one. And then our final one is our final B, The Walking Dead. It started off good, then got worse. I'm giving it a B because I like the characters. And I'm going to come back for the other few of the, the spin-offs, the Rick and Michonne spin-off show, and the Daryl spin-off show, and maybe the Negan spin-off show. I might watch all three of those shows because I fell in love with those characters, not exactly all of them. Daryl specifically. Rick is okay, Michonne is okay, and Negan is great. But yeah, that's 2023 for you, or 2022 for you. That's every single show that I've watched in 2022. Phenomenal shows, awful shows, okay shows. You know, those were all the shows we watched. Thank you for watching this video. Welcome to 2023, everybody. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.